Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my Bloodstained Curse of the Moon review. Now I'm a huge fan of Castlevania and classic Konami games, and like most people in my category, I despise what Konami has turned into these last few years. Fortunately for us, their two lead developers have gone on to do other things. Kojima has his studio, and Koji Igrashi is about to unleash his Castlevania spin-offs Bloodstained this year. I did not contribute to any of Bloodstained's Kickstarters, mainly because I was seeing what was going on with Mighty Number 9 at the time, and while I do have faith that this would be a good game, I really didn't want to put any money down on any Kickstarters at the time. As part of this game's expansion goal, though, was to create an 8-bit classic Castlevania game that was recently released on Steam by Inticreates, creator of Azure Striker Gunvolt and Galgun series, and they're pretty good at making classic 8-bit games. They're very much like the way forward of Japan. So after I sunk my teeth into this, can I compare it to Castlevania 3, which is a game this game tries so hard to be, or is it a bit of a letdown? Let's find out. The story is pretty basic, and if I am to be honest, I really don't get it. There is very little dialogue or introduction to these characters, and I hope they get more filled out when we meet them in the actual Bloodstained game. Other than this weak-ass text scroll where we learn some man named Zangetsu, and man am I having trouble fighting off doing a Bleach reference here, is under some sort of demonic curse, so he's out to kill all the demons. At the end of the first 3 stages, you find and recruit another teammate to take along with you on your quest. Or if you want to play the game a bit differently, you can violently murder them and take their power. Thank you for rescuing me, young man! Ouch! Hey, what are you doing? Douchebag! I personally took the teaming up option because it makes the game way easier and more fun. Besides violently murdering people for their power, it is a bit of a douche move, even if Zangetsu states he has reasons to hate them because they have connections with the demons. Anyways, after that there is no dialogue or story until the end, and I don't get what he's after. Who is this last boss, or who the Dark Emperor is? And that might be Igarashi's biggest problems with his new series. Castlevania's main antagonist, though, most of the series was Count Dracula. He's a popular vampire and is known in a lot of works of fiction. Some true to the original content of Bram Stoker's books, some not. Because of that, you can just say he's going to be possessed by Dracula unless they finish him off, and you would understand the danger. In this, I have no idea who this Dark Lord or Emperor is, or why I should even care to beat him. Who really is this guy at the end? Zangetsu is trying not to become him, I guess. I really have no idea. Oh well, maybe I'm reading too far into this, and I hear there's extra modes that might contribute to a real ending. I'm not sure at this time. Koji Igrashi has stated his favorite Castlevania game was Castlevania 3, and if you think about his timeline, Castlevania 3 is the most significant. It was the first time Dracula was killed, it has Alucard who becomes a reoccurring protagonist in the series, and he even wanted to remake it at one point. It's not a surprise that he and Inticreates would come together to put their own spin on it. That said, this game comes off as more Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow's second quest, more than it does Castlevania 3, but that's not to say that's a bad thing either. This game plays like Castlevania 3, from demon killing to destroying lamps for power-ups. And like I said earlier, if you chose to recruit the other characters after boss battles, which would be your first instinct, by the way, is to approach them and press the up button, you will come across 3 other characters, each with their own ability. And this is a good thing, because Zangetsu by himself sucks. Yeah, it's like I could see it possible to go through Castlevania 3 with only Trevor Belmont, because he was the most balanced of the crew, but without any other abilities, Zangetsu here, it just has a short knife to attack with. True, he has the most health and can deal a fair amount of damage, but that doesn't forgive how slow he is or the lack of range he has. The other characters more than make up for it, and while they have their own names, I'm going to call them Female Belmont, which became my favorite character. If I want to play a Castlevania knockoff, then damn it, I'm going to go for the character with the whip. Only bad thing is, much like Maria and Rondo of Blood, she's a glass cannon, easy to knock around, not so much health. Then there's an old alchemist dude who is basically sci-fi. His attack is lower range than Zangetsu, and he's even slower, but his default magic allows him to be basically invincible provided you have the potions, and it carries over when you switch party members. And then I finally will call this guy Alucard. Why? Because he looks like a much more grown-up version of Alucard from Castlevania 3. He can throw out projectiles similar to Alucard and turn into a bat just like Castlevania 3's Alucard. Unlike Castlevania 3, though, you can have these three other characters in tow, not just one, and this is where it gets interesting. You don't lose a life unless all four of your characters are dead after that. However, each character is going to be needed to solve a few simple puzzles and get over a few obstacles. So losing one character along the way might mean having to go through a tougher course through the stage and possibly losing even more characters. Even the later bosses kind of go around needing two abilities and two different sub-weapons in order to take them out easy, meaning you're going to have to rely on teamwork to get through the undead horde. And that made this game quite a bit of fun. Figuring out which way to go and how to use each character's abilities to clear these obstacles did make it kind of enjoyable. The stage design works around multiple routes through each stage, and while the game is linear, the stages do have a Rondo of Blood style openness to them that made it fun. If you've beaten Castlevania 3, then it should only take you about 2 hours to beat this game, and it's a cakewalk in comparison. If you take the default route of recruiting the characters, it's a breeze. That said, if you choose to power up only Zangetsu, it does make it a bit harder. Hard enough to where I did have to put in the infinite lives of casual mode in order to complete it. In this mode, if you kill the other characters, you get a Zangetsu that has a strong jump attack, a double jump, and can dash for a short time. It doesn't make up for those other characters being gone, and you stuck basically taking a long way through each stage and missing most of the power-up items, making the game much tougher. There is also the don't recruit and don't kill route, though the game, which would probably be pretty much next to impossible because a non-powered up Zangetsu isn't that good or fun to play with. It's like going through Castlevania 3 stuck with only Grant but without his ability to crawl on walls, and that would be pretty challenging. And if you want to explore those other ways, you can activate the Curse of the Moon and backtrack and take other ways through the game. And yes, you do lose all your progress when you use this. It does suck. To be honest with you, it's easier to just start another save file. And the game does give you plenty of save files, with up to 8 save files here. And the way I look at it, if this was a Castlevania game made by modern Konami, that would be $80 right there for all those save files. So be glad that this is Inticreates. The graphics, like most of these 8-bit knockoff games, have an NES feel, but of course do a few things the NES really couldn't do, like better backgrounds and better shades. And me, personally, I have a mixed feeling on this, because it does take me out of the classic NES feel just a little bit when I see them doing things that the NES really couldn't do. Still, the animation is superb. The colors and designs of the characters do remind me of classic Castlevania, especially how a lot of them are just one shade when it comes to the protagonist being orange or the female Belmont being purple. And the enemy designs are pretty good looking too. By the way, points to Inticreates for having a picture of Igrashi being a mini-boss. The music isn't bad here either. There's nothing as good as Vampire Killer or Bloody Tears in this game, However, the music still fits the Castlevania motif, and I could see it in a Castlevania game. Nothing memorable, but nothing awful either. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon isn't as good as the game it's trying to emulate. There are no branching paths through the game as there was in Castlevania 3, and it feels like it's half its length. That said, it does take some of the ideas Castlevania 3 has and tries to expand on them. The choice of recruiting or destroying a playable character does change the game up and also increases its replayability. Whether you go this route just depends on how much you hunger for an old 8-bit action game. Which is my problem because I like to rate on price. At $10, I think this game is just a little bit too high. If it was $5, it would be no problem giving it a recommendation. And even at $8, I would say if you like old school Castlevania games, you should go and get it. But at $10, I can safely say this belongs on your Steam wishlist. And wait for a sale where it goes down to just a few dollars before getting. It's worth playing, but there's nothing worth $10 here.